The drought isn't just biting in regional Australia. Across the country, below average rainfall means dwindling water supplies in capital cities too. In a moment, I'll speak to sustainability expert Professor Tim Flannery, but first, here's a look at the picture nationally. Last month, rainfall across New South Wales was 58% below average, worsening a drought that's threatened the water supply of towns in western and central New South Wales. The Burrendong Dam services Dubbo and it's on track to being empty within 12 months. Across the southern part of the mainland, it's a similar story. Melbourne and Adelaide's dams are less than half full. Perth's dams are even emptier. Only 10% of Perth's water comes from dams, nearly half comes from desalination plants. The city's aquifers are being replenished with recycled sewage. Tim Flannery, how likely are Australian capital cities to end up living permanently under some form of water restriction?
Well, look, it depends upon how water is managed. At the moment, what we're seeing is a widespread use of desalination to provide water, but that's expensive. So, Perth gets about half of its water from desal, Adelaide gets up to half of its water at various times from desal, Melbourne gets water, and we're just about to turn the taps on a desal plant in Sydney. That'll add about $25 to $30 a year cost to water for the average consumer, but I guess that's the cost of using it profitably.
As you mentioned, Perth and Adelaide are getting about half of their water from desalination plants. Other than the expense, have there been any lessons learned from that?
Look, yeah, it is obviously expensive. There can be environmental consequences. So Perth has had to turn off its desal plant occasionally as very salty water has pooled on the coast, causing environmental problems. So yeah, there are consequences. I think you're much better off managing your water properly, looking after your climate so you don't have to bear these costs.
How much progress has Australia made into other water efficiency measures?
Look, by and large, I think we're still fairly poor at managing our water. The big impacts are going to be in the inland, in our agricultural regions, because out there you can't really utilise desal the way we can on the coast. And also, hotter temperatures are making things much more difficult. So, last summer was the hottest summer on record for Australia. And we also had the third most severe drought, which we're still experiencing. So add those two together and you get a lot of demand, you get a lot of stress on water.
You mentioned high temperatures. Given the pressures of climate change, how likely is it that Australia's dams will ever return to full capacity?
Well, we have to see. There may be an odd weather event that brings them up to 100% again. But by and large, the trend has been for greater evaporation, so less water actually getting into the dams, and less rainfall in southern and eastern Australia. So those factors together tell us we should manage carefully what we've got.
What's some of the low-hanging fruit in terms of better water management in Australia? What could we do fairly easily?
Well, Brisbane really has led the way in times past in this, and what they've done is issued people with their water bills, and in a way that gives them a comparison with their neighbours. And in that sense, you see how much you're using relative to people around you, and I think that spurs on action. The other thing that Brisbane has done is build a fantastic water recycling plant. Again, a common sense thing to do. But last time I looked, that hadn't been utilised because people weren't comfortable with drinking recycled water. Slightly crazy, given if you visit London, that's what you're drinking.
Tim Flannery, many thanks for your time.
Thank you.